there, it's Kevin with Gone Rogue Games. Happy Monday to everyone. It has been a very busy Monday here at Gone Rogue Games. I'm actually recording this pretty late. Usually I try to do this earlier in the day, and we're finally getting around to doing a video because I have been working on foundations all day long. So foundations came in and need to break all this down, get everything ready for the pre-release, and get everything ready to get shipped off. So wow, oh wow, has foundations completely done a 180, and now everyone and their dog seems to want it. And this is a little bit worrisome for the market as a whole. I've been noticing, I was just checking some prices on things like this one, for example, for Kamigawa set boosters, and for New Capenna collectors boosters, and for Bloom Burrow play boosters, and for Duskmourn collector boosters. Those are just a few of them that I've been looking at, and the prices are dipping on all of them. And I think it's because money is now being moved into foundations when everyone was very bearish on the product, because we still haven't got an answer from Wizards of the Coast of how they are going to roll out foundations for the next 5 years. So I think they've guaranteed it for 5 years that it's going to be a part of standard, but they haven't said anything about the product, if the product is going to be available or not. And now that these spoilers are out, I mean, Wizards of the Coast was so slow at getting the supplemental product spoilers out for the starter collections now. So apparently these are worth breaking down for singles. There's more money in the foundations collections to be broken down for singles. So of course, that's going to just have a rush on all the people that do that, just break down products and sell singles. And then Jumpstart end up being just a slam dunk. It's back to the old school Jumpstart. And there's a lot of value in those too. A lot of unique commanders. And now it's just led to an absolute buying spree on foundations. Now, this is good. It's good and bad. It's showing that there is still a robust appetite for Magic the Gathering, but it's also bad because we still need months and months and months, if not years, of breathing room for Magic to start eating up a lot of this product that has been rotting on the shelves of stores and distributors and the secondary market. And the sad thing is, it was starting to see a lot of that sort of product was actually starting to move. And now seems like foundations just put an absolute halt to that. Now again, this is a brand new set. I get it. People weren't pre-ordering it. As I stated in one of my other videos, this was my lowest pre-order set of all time, but I think I've made up for it right now with all the people that want stuff. Unfortunately, I can't get you guys collectors. You have to move on these things quicker, people. Now distributors are out of collectors. Every one of the distributors are out of collectors. It does seem like they have most of the other products still available. However, this was a dismally received set when Wizards of the Coast failed to really articulate of what this was going to be. No one knew, and they were, like I mentioned, they were so slow at getting the spoilers out. And then we were just coming off of Duskmourn, and we were just coming off of Bloom Burrow, and I think that the wallet fatigue definitely set in, and you know, the hype machine of people getting excited for new sets, and especially since this is just supposed to be a core set, yeah, people did not expect what came out of this set, and now it just seems that everyone and their dog is trying to get in on the Foundations action. So, if you are a patron, I can still try to get you foundations, not called collector boosters. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, they're gone. I don't know if there will be a restocking of this, and I'm still a bit worried on exactly how Wizards of the Coast is going to handle foundations, because we've never seen a set like this before. We haven't seen something like this since Revised. Like, this is the closest thing I can compare this to is something like Revised, that is supposed to be an evergreen product that sticks around for years and years and years to come. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're just going to continue to have play boosters available, if collectors are going to be done and people have missed their... So this kind of reminds me of Core 2019, because Core 2019 actually existed, or is it Core 2020? One of the core sets, they had the first bit of collectors boosters. They had... Yeah, so the collector boosters surrounding that, one of the core sets, one of the Ugin in it, it was over... Like, all of them were overprinted, all the collector boosters. And then Wizards of the Coast pulled a fast one with the core set and didn't print enough of them, or at least slowed the roll. And those collector's boosters got expensive quick. And I think they've come down now, because that's one of the warning signs of Magic the Gathering too, is a lot of these products are not aging well. So things like Throne of Eldraine, not aging well. Even Theros, that started to gain some traction and go back up in value, not aging well. There's a lot of those older collector booster products from that time period that are just not aging well. Some of the other collector boosters from the newer stuff definitely are aging well, but it's still very worrisome from that time period of the beginning of the overprinting when they started the whole collector booster era, that are now really, really low on the scope of things of how long they've been out. So again, worrisome is the best thing to describe how I feel about the market right now. Like, we've been in such a, I wouldn't even want to call it a bear or a bull market. I want to just call it like a sense of normalcy, going back to where there's supply, demand that is flowing back and forth at a very manageable rate that isn't overwhelming. And these are the type of markets that I like, because typically in these, you can actually still find things from distributors. I hate full-on bull markets because then everything just gets purchased, and then it's an absolute mess to even try to find products. So, I mean, everything is making a lot of money, so unless you had a lot of inventory, then, I mean, you miss out. But at the same time, I mean, there's, of course, nothing worse than the bear market where everything sells below cost, and that was awful for years to come. And I'm hoping to avoid that. So, of course, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening in the next few days. We got an election tomorrow, which markets always respond to elections, and I think that's actually going to have a little bit of a blowback effect on this market. I think people are going to be distracted. So really, the test will be when the holiday season starts, to see how well, first of all, Foundations is received, how much it gets eaten up. Second of all, how Wizards of the Coast reception to, are they going to reprint this now, or are collectors going to get reprinted? Are things like, is Jumpstart actually, like, I was looking at prices, and most of the pre-sale prices, it's still considered pre-sale because it releases this weekend. Most of them on TCG Player are still well above distributor cost. Compared to the last sets, it's doing much, much, much better. And from my number of standpoints, my collector booster boxes were low to begin with from distributors. So that even shows me that the Wizards of the Coast didn't know how well this product would be received. And they also took the more conservative route. So a lot of questions, a lot of up in the airs with this particular product. But as you can see, there's our collectors. I don't know if people, maybe I should actually, here, we'll show some Foundations. And then will have to cut this video shorter than my usual videos. Sorry I don't get a long-winded rant about me complaining about something, but I'm sure you'll get one tomorrow. Still want to dog on Pokemon a little bit more, because I've been seeing so many videos that are just driving me insane. But anyway, we got a bunch of collectors, and what's this one here? We have the play boosters, but this is like, again, this is like just a few cases is all what I ordered, as patrons just didn't want this stuff. And locals was even worse. Locals absolutely did not want this. We're gonna have dismal. We had like horrible pre-sign-ups for the pre-release this weekend. So typically we give like $5 off if they sign up early. That way we can try to plan events correctly and try to encourage people to kind of taper where they join the event. So like, oh, here we have slots on Saturday, we have slots on Friday. And what I'm now thinking might happen is everyone's going to show up on one day, and then we're going to be packed. And then or the opposite, we just won't sell any. That could be another thing too. But that's kind of what happened with Dustmore. And Dustmore, like, no one signed up for the pre-release, and then we actually sold out of our pre-releases. So we'll have to wait and see how this one is received. But yeah, these products though, they're doing quite well. I think the beginner box is the one that's doing the worst, but this starter collection is really, really hot right now on TCG Player and the other secondary markets. So again, that shows a lot of still energy in Magic the Gathering, and I don't think it's going anywhere. It's just the culture is just too big right now for Magic. I'm still worried, as you saw my last videos, about the blowback of Universes Beyond, of how it's going to affect the game. And there still is a lot of unknowns. So I don't know, the people that are just kind of flaunting that Magic's too big to fail, or we're just being crazy here about our reception of Universes Beyond. I've seen things collapse from, a better standpoint from Magic the Gathering. And I don't know, Magic has just done so many, like right in a row, with Magic 30, with the bad reception of even things like Commander Masters, then on to the Commander Committee with their big gaffe with the bannings, and just one after another. I don't know how many blows this community. But then the saying is true though. That we are a bubble within a bubble of people that even use the internet, people that even use YouTube, people that even are in these circles that we think were so important, and the scope of things. This reminds me actually of something that opened my eyes clear back in the day when I used to go to a local game store in Salt Lake City. So I was one of the regulars, and I would buy like a box every set release, and I'd attend all the F&Ms, and I would draft every week. Every time we had a draft, we'd do that. And play in all the store championships. And so basically I was there all the time at the store. And I made a comment one time about yeah, and it was just kind of off the cuff. It was just kind of like a funny little comment with the store. And I'm like, yeah, you better treat us regulars right, since we keep the lights on. Something like that, some little comment like that. I can't remember what it was. And I remember the store laughed at me and said 99% of their customers were kitchen table that just came in, purchased, didn't even know there was a thing called F&M. And their sales were way more of the casual products than it was the competitive products. So I remember I used to kind of be not really upset, but a little question like, why don't you guys keep a lot of competitive cards, like standard cards, in stock? And because they didn't really keep a lot of inventory. And it's just because the vast majority of people that were even playing Magic at that time were kitchen table Magic players. So I think sometimes we get a bit of a hubris of all of us that have been in this industry for a while, or we have our little bubbles, so we think that the world revolves around us, when there's this massive amount of normies that actually do dictate the overall direction of the market. But at the same time though, you can even see these circles though with some products that are received horribly and then do horribly because of the reception. Things like Baldur's Gate at first, and it took a while for the casuals to actually start eating through that. And now that set's being absolutely destroyed by casuals. So now they're kind of worrisome though, because those are starting to go up now, and I think we're back down with both draft and set boosters from Baldur's. So my last thing with this is this is what I want to basically send out to the comments. I guess a good YouTuber always tries to engage with their users, right? So what does everyone think about the amount of cards? This is what's been really eating at me, because this is a utility-based game. The data is there. If you compare it to Pokemon, you even compare it to many other games, Magic the Gathering cards move because they see play. And Foundations to me seems like a master set. Between the Jumpstart beginner boxes, the starter collections, I just think there are so many cards printed that this is going to bring a lot more, or devalue kind of the secondary market a lot more than other sets. So, I mean, this is there's a fine line with when I remember the site that used to track how much it would cost to own one of every Magic card. And it was 1 year, it actually stayed stagnant. And so that was incredibly worrisome, because it didn't account for it took into account reprints. So you just had to own one of every copy of that card, not different versions, just one of every of that card. So whatever unique card, however many out there, and it was overall lowest price you get in the card. And I remember it was 2023, 2022, it did not go up for the first time in Magic. And that's what showed kind of the strength of Magic, is it did always go up. The cards and sealed product did go up. And it just showed that the reprint policy Wizard of the Coast had finally turned that corner to where they were reprinting too much, where it was devaluing even though they're creating new cards, to own one of every unique card was actually cheaper or stagnant, even though there were more cards in existence than before. And that's kind of my worry about Foundations, is it feels like we're going back into 2023, where I was very happy that we didn't have a Commander Masters and we didn't have a Lord of the Rings that were released this year that just threw so much money at these expensive products, there wasn't enough to even absorb anything else. And on top of that, they still did all their regular releases. And so the market was really hemorrhaging from just too much glut, too much of the stuff that nobody wanted. And now with Foundations, especially now with the receptions of Foundations, and again, if it gets a reprint, or if the policy Wizards of the Coast can continue to make this available, and at what point, right now, if these starter collections are just super profitable to break down and sell on the secondary market just as the singles, and some of these other things are incredibly profitable to do it, and people continue to do that, like, where is the saturation level with this particular set compared to other sets? And how much effect is that going to have going forward on the MTG market that's going to have to eventually absorb it? Because as I've said a million times in these videos, Wizards of the Coast's greatest competitor is not Pokemon. It's not One Piece. It's not Lorcana. Magic products' greatest competitors are other Magic products. And so just printing a billion products is not the solution. Wizards has to walk this tightrope of getting supply, because it's always about, especially with TCGs, you need accessibility, and there will be, like, there's always the saying that every year a Black Lotus gets coffee spilled on it. And that's why the price will always go up, because it's on the reserve list and can't be reprinted. And the same is for everything else. If they don't reprint cards, you know, every day someone bans a doubling season. And so there's just the kind of market is net down one doubling season. And so reprints need to get back into the mix of things for card prices to stay accessible, and the game to have enough pieces for everyone to play. And so Wizards of the Coast, of course, has to still try to maintain collectibility. And I think that's where my other thought process, I'm not the best to explain this. I'm thinking that's all that Wizards has left. I think they've really, with Foundations especially, with doubling season being printed again in this particular set, and not only that, but a lot of, like, the Jumpstart, there are a lot of High Chase reprints in there, and we always have this reprint equity saying that Wizards is running out, and they're starting to really run out of things that they can reprint. And I think that their only option is to go the Pokemon route and just start putting lottery tickets in every. I mean, I fear that we're going to be going back to Lord of the Rings. And you know my feelings about that. Like, I think that utility is king. And if you can create a game that runs off utility, that is a beautiful thing, because it's real demand. It's thing that's constant. It's thing that's predictable. It's thing that the market will respond to in a more rational manner. And if you go the lottery ticket route, you never know when your lotteries are going to fail and when they're going to be, you know, decent, when they're going to be, or like Lord of the Rings just went above and beyond. Like, I think that people thought that people were going to lose their minds about One of One rings and Dwarven Soul rings and stuff, but nobody expected the market just to go insane, and all the money that was just sunk into Lord of the Rings with the gambling effect. And we saw that with Battle for Zendikar too. That's why Battle for Zendikar still to this day, the prices are so cheap, because I don't want to imagine how much money was sunk into draft booster boxes with the first ever iteration of lottery tickets. But the warning sign with that, though, is they tried to replicate it, then Kaladesh was okay. But then by the time they got to Amonkhet, you know, the market had rejected the lottery model. And I'm fearing, though, that Wizards of the Coast has really, really milked their utility, milked their reprint equity so hard with Foundations, but not only Foundations, with these, the big score slots, and like the Enchanted Tale slots, those type of things, they've milked it so hard. At least they did get rid of the list. That's one thing positive. But their only option in 2025, I fear, is going to be, golden tickets in the chocolate bars. That's the only way they can keep it up. But I do not like that model. And I know it works for Pokemon, and I know it works for a few other things, but I just don't see it working as well for a game that is primarily built off of people playing the cards. I think there are collectors for sure in Magic the Gathering, but comparatively speaking to Pokemon, the lion's share of people are players and do a little bit of collecting, not the exact opposite with Pokemon. That's why Pokemon decks are like $40 if you want to build a competitive deck, because no one cares about competitive cards compared to the collectability. So many cards get opened because the only way you can get these chase cards is through regular, draft, or what they call just regular booster packs. And so all the competitive cards that are just rares, or just double rares at that point, get flooded into the market because they're not collectible. And, it'd be good for the player if Magic went that way. But I think it's too late for them to change that business model. I don't think they can do these Wonka chocolate or golden tickets and everything like Lord of the Rings before it receives like an Amonkhet rejection. So yeah, I am very, very nervous with how Foundations has been received. I almost wanted like a terrible set to, slowly creep in onto us, where it's like, oh, and then people had realized that, oh, maybe there is stuff in this set that's worth money, and it slowly was purchased and didn't get reprints and stuff. But now with the rabidness, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Ravenous, that's the better word, right? Appetite now for people wanting foundations. So like my inbox is absolutely exploded with people wanting more foundations. And a couple weeks ago, I was, wasn't begging, but I was like, guys, get your orders in. Get your orders in, because I knew a situation like this was going to happen. So anyway, I will throw up pricing on the Patreon and a new order sheet of prices you can get in for foundations. Not only that, but I think there still is a lot of other good buys. And so if you're interested, I highly, highly encourage you to check it out and join up. The more, the merrier. We can actually be the only way you can get ahead in life, though, is in this industry, is to have huge purchasing power. So the more people we get on board, the better deals I can get with distribution. The more I can actually be able to get things to begin with. So I'd love to have you on board. Check it out to see if it's a good fit for you. And you can get other stuff too, besides Magic the Gathering. I want to be your one-stop shop for all of your nerd needs, even though sometimes I feel like I just rag on nerds all day long. I'm one of you fellow nerds. What is that, you fellow kids? Anyway, I'm going to get back to getting this stuff broken down and shipped off. And I promise you there's more rants to come. I'm sure I'll be full of them as the weeks approach towards Christmas and all the other nonsense I'm sure these companies are going to try to pull on us. I'll be there for you. Thanks for watching.